ag Lorch faoin bhumneacht an Gaeilge. Today I will be talking about pronunciation of Irish. Not the whole thing, not explaining every little thing, but I'm going to be giving you some tips that are based on mistakes I have heard made with Irish. Before I start, I would just like to say this is in no way a video where I'm like calling out people for making these mistakes or, you know, anything like that. I'm just making it to help you, and that's all. I just want to help. These tips are kind of random, but they're the main ones I could think of. I will be using Ulster pronunciation. I'm not a native Ulster speaker, but I am from Donegal, so majority of my pronunciation is accurate to the Ulster dialect. So you may see me pronouncing some of these words different to what you have heard before. Carcolor an chéad ceann. I want to look at how slander vowels affect D, S, and T. Let's start with D. D-E or D-I. D-E and D-I, I would pronounce like J. For example, when I started the video, I said Gia Div. Gia. That word meaning God. D-I-A, I would say Gia, like a J sound at the start. Now this rule applies whether the slander vowel comes before the consonant or after. It will affect the pronunciation in the same way. Idger. Idger, which means between. Idger. Notice how I pronounce that like a J. There's an I before the D and after. I don't say idder, I say idger. Another example with I, achnage, achnage, which means acquaintance. Achnage. D-E, for example, jacker, jacker, which means difficult. Jesh, jesh, which means opportunity. So D-I, D-E, J. S, when combined with E or I in Irish, makes a sh sound. For example, shasu, shasu, which is like the verbal noun to stand. Vi me ag shasu, vi me ag shasu. I was standing. Shin, shin, which means that, shin. Ash, ash, which means facility. That's an example of how there's a slander vowel before the S, but it's still affecting it in the same way, still making that sh sound. An exception that I can think of is quite an important one. Sentences that begin with is, which is coming from the copula. For example, is Moonshore May? I am a teacher. Is Moonshore May? Is Rud Mai Shin? Is Rud Mai Asian. That's a good thing. So notice that I'm not saying ish